and kids they rape and kill for fun. That makes it that much more enjoyable. You see, they don't like seeing people do well. You've all run into people out there that hate it when somebody's doing well. Instead of like, oh, I'm glad you're doing well, or wow, you're really beautiful, I admire that, or you're really talented, I admire that. There are a lot of people out there who hate it. Well, that's the globalist. The globalists at their core hate other people's success. They hate beauty. They hate independence. They hate freedom. They want you to be so poor that you've got to grovel to them. And they write about this. Every year at Bilderberg, we get from Tucker and others who have sources inside, and I have some sources that are in the second echelon of Bilderberg. I'll just leave it at that I've developed. The first thing they say is, look at those protesters out there. We've got to shut down the economy where they don't even have money to heat their house or have a car or be here. We're hiding out in the mountains of Switzerland, and there's 800 protesters out there with members of the Swiss government demanding to be let in here. What is the problem? I want the economy shut down, and I want it shut down now. And then they cut to debates and say, well, listen, Your Excellency, if we cut off the resources too quickly, they're going to riot against us and overthrow us. So we've got to do it slowly. And then later, I'll be told something by Tucker or my other sources, and like 2 years later, I'll see him at Davos say this thing on the stage that I was told word for word by name who said what 2 years before. So a lot of times Tucker's like, they're going to have the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1 year. They've decided with the Soviets to do it. It's to make everybody think communism's dead, but in a way it's true because they can't hold their system together. So it was both. Boom. Everybody laughed at him, happened. He's like, they'll be firing Margaret Thatcher. It's scary when you can't do a gruff old man voice and you do it and you find out it's your own voice. But he's like, Margaret Thatcher will be out within 6 months. They're done with her. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, right. Boom, she's gone. George Bush will, within the next 2 months, endorse carbon taxes. He'd been totally against it. Boom, it happened. Yeah, I mean, just gas prices will go from $45 a barrel to about $150 in the next year. Everybody's like, that's ridiculous. Boom, happened. Then Bilderberg's now concerned. 2008, he said on my show, I was up at Bilderberg covering it in Virginia. He's like, well, my source told me that they're a little worried, people on the edge of revolt, so they will now lower it to below 60. Boom, starts. I mean, it's just like, these people really are running things. That's the incredible proof of it. They're steering it to a great degree. They want global government so that they can fully control society. And if you have no privacy, you have no freedom. If they have total transparency into your life and know what you're doing, they can predict what you're going to do next and totally control you. So government and the elites are all secret. That's the New World Order, and exempt from their own laws they pass that are unconstitutional and tyrannical. And then you live under total transparency with no privacy, and there's all these laws piled on you. That's the essence of slavery. And we're sold that it's liberty, we're sold that it's freedom, we're sold that it's this great thing, and it's not. So that's what I'm trying to get at here. And we told you austerity was coming 3.5 years ago in the Obama deception. I told you 12 years ago that they would use the derivatives as a weapon to infect all the treasuries and all the other investments. They would hold people hostage and then say, sign on to the banker's debt and make us the bosses, or we'll go into total cardiac arrest. And then instead you just go into a slow decline. A full cardiac arrest of the economy would actually cause a real change probably. But they want to wait till they've got everything lined up before they do that. So they want to do it in steps. First it's gradual, then it's kind of steps downward, and then they do plan some plunging. But not yet. They've got to get everything in order first, because a big plunge too early would actually expose them. I mean, think about how ridiculous it is that the very 6 megabanks that have engineered the fraud and put their politicians in then sign Greece and Ireland and Iceland and United States and Europe, Germany, France, England, on to their debt. Well, yes, 92% in Iceland and 91% in Greece and 89% in this country or that is derivatives that the country signed on to the very bankers who are now announcing themselves the bosses and putting their presidents and prime ministers in. That's not very sophisticated. That's pretty clear. It's being conquered by financial fraud. And they cut the police, they cut the fire, they cut the teachers, they cut the health care, they cut everything. And tell you, well, you deserve this because you were on welfare when they made you go under socialist health care in Greece and other places. Paul Watson's over in England. He has had a chest cold for a month. And I would call him, and he'd go, no, I'm still really sick, Alex. It's terrible. And he goes, I'm still fighting to get in to see the government doctor. And I said, but I read England's got private doctors. And of course, I knew the answer. I don't know why I said that. And he goes, yes, Alex, but you've got to go to the government first, and then they've got to allow you, and they refer you to a private practitioner. And he was starting to really get concerned. He was, laying out in the sun in the cold weather trying to get, vitamin A and stuff. He was taking all vitamins, minerals, all this stuff. There's been some really bad chest colds going around the world, as you know. There's all these drug-resistant bacteria and mutated viruses because of antibiotics and things. And he finally got in to see the government healthcare people. And I've watched the House of Lords debates many times. It's quite a spectacle. And, I remember Tony Blair in there over and over again. They'd go, Prime Minister, is it not true that people on average are waiting 18 months for brain surgeries that are close to 100% operable? That means they can fix it. If you have the surgery within 3 months, but can almost completely fatal after 1 year. And he stands up, yes, it's true, we're working on that. I mean, this is what we want here. And big bank-owned, insurance company-owned healthcare providers wrote the healthcare bill and then acted like, the greedy HMOs didn't want it when they wrote it. And now they've changed their Supreme Court pleadings so that Anthony Scalia, they're saying, that's in the news today, may vote and say the government can make you buy a product. As if we need any debate about whether that's constitutional or not. It's unconstitutional. And it's part of this nanny state. Well, we make you get car insurance. You didn't used to. You used to run somebody over. You got arrested for reckless driving. Or they'd come take your house. Or they'd throw you in jail. Yeah, there it is. National Health Service. Waiting time increases. May cost lives, doctors warn. May cost lives. It's already costing lives. That, too, out of the London Guardian. That's the trap of socialist health care. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone's always been able to get health care in this country. I mean, I've had an injury before, gone to the hospital on the weekend. I've got insurance. I got money in my wallet. I got credit cards. I sat at the back of the line with a finger dangling by a piece of skin as the illegal aliens on record were just waved in. Not even a debate. They get instant coverage. I had a crew member who had a big surgery he had to have because of a pre-existing condition. He couldn't get, been thrown off insurance. I said, don't worry. They're supposed to give you 30% charity care. They don't want to tell you about this. Only the illegals are taught how to access it. He went, got the whole thing paid for. Like a $40,000 surgery. He couldn't believe it. And I'm like, listen, medicine is supposed to be taking care of people. Again, but now under the healthcare rules under Obama, they're allowing hospitals to get rid of those mandates that have always just been there as part of your Hippocratic Oath. So see, no one gets turned away from healthcare unless you're ignorant, and they don't teach American citizens how to access all of this. So now all of that's going to be gone. Look at Greece. Once they get you addicted to this, once they get you to where you don't have any other choice, they can say, yeah, you get your health care if you've had all your vaccines. Yeah, you get your health care if you take this anti-racism drug. They're not making you, do that, they're saying. They're pushing to make people do that. I mean, it's a total nightmare nanny state controlling every facet of your life. And they always sell their tyranny. Taking private property, taking your guns, banning sports, banning tag, banning drawing a gun in art class. In the name of keeping your body safe, invading Africa. We got to keep somebody safe. We got to bomb Libya because we love them. They always sell it with, we come in peace, we're friends. It's total camouflage. It's a total front. George Clooney is a loving liberal who's just an idiot and means well. Total front. It's a raving, dangerous criminal. Angelina Jolie, all of them. They know exactly what they're doing. And it's time to stop being naive and realize these aren't idiots. They're in charge. They've been given power because they play ball with the New World Order. It's that simple. And so it's going to take doing real research, folks, to be informed. I mean, look at this. There's a big article saying Bernanke's been caught lying about inflation in the U.S. in Bloomberg. Well, no one buys that inflation's low. Everybody knows inflation's up. Even though they've depressed the economy, still there's inflation. An inflationary depression. That's supposed to be impossible in the economic Keynesian system, but it's not because we lived in a rigged economy. It's the double super whammy. Here's another one. Obama shifts healthcare defense. Again, I mentioned that article to you, but I have another article here dealing with David Cameron. And I'm going to cover that after I get to some calls when we come back in the next segment because I want to get to your calls. Starstruck David Cameron's embarrassing fawning over Barack Obama and his beautiful words. That's a quote, Daily Mail. Here's another one. Cameron meets New York financiers, Financial Times of London. When David Cameron, the supposed conservative, came over here, he's about like a Mitt Romney, he wouldn't even meet with the Republican leadership. He wouldn't even meet with the Republican Congress. And he badmouthed them in speeches with Obama. But guess where he really spent his time while he was here? Financial Times reports. Fawning over the head of Goldman Sachs' Lloyd Blankfein. Well, yeah, he came to see the big bosses. And who is Lloyd Blankfein? These are people who openly, their own executives have quit and said, sit around and call their customers scum and idiots and suckers. Because it's a culture of destruction. These are the parasites we bail out who then loan us our own money back to us. And Cameron's here fawning at their feet. We'll be back with your calls.
Don't.
You know, the kind of news I want to cover is stuff like a gentleman who in the 1970s went up reportedly 30-plus miles in a balloon of some type, and they say really holds the record for skydiving. I'd like to try to get that guy on. I mean, that is really neat. That's the kind of news I'm really into. But we've got to deal with these globalists who are trying to destroy our planet. And if they're not trying, they're sure doing a good job without trying. Instead of, you know, focusing on all this negative stuff, I would rather focus on interesting things like record-seeking skydiver makes 13-mile test jump. Skydiving daredevil Felix, how do you pronounce that? Baumgartner is more than halfway towards his goal of setting a world record for the highest jump. And it says that he jumped from 71,581 feet. Looks like he's in space, but he's not. He's in a spacesuit.